Okay, so I mentioned you want a strap. I did not grab my cushion. And we're gonna go from the floor to standing and back to the floor today. We're gonna do some stuff at the wall. So I have a strap that I'll use while I'm down, and then we'll also do some stuff that's up kind of using the wall to work a few things out. Just a full body practice today, lots of hips, but lots of everything else as well. I feel like my Dharma talks have been a little bit like heavy and depressing lately, so it's like we need to do something about this and go lighten the mood a little bit. So I went and I read this newsletter that I've been a part of for a long time called Brain Pickings. I've mentioned it a few times before. They kind of discuss some like art and philosophy things, and really trying to tie in the work that people do in the world with a creative thread moving through them. And I thought it was interesting in the recent email that they were discussing how there's quite possibly so much more merit in the child from an inner city school with no formal instruction just getting a secondhand cello and messing around with it until he starts to create music. Maybe a lot more merit in that than to have somebody who comes from a polished education, or even like a societal pressure that we must be learned in certain things. You know, the reference they were making was more to like high society in the middle of the 19th century, like people who were just like, oh, I'm at a certain level in the world, so I have to know all about like these composers and these art organizations, just like for the sake of knowing about them. But that was the equivalent of just being able to like name drop and recite facts about such things. Whereas, you know, the individual who doesn't have those sorts of resources and mandates and is just moved within themselves to connect so deeply with this art, this craft, this skill that they want to develop, that is so much more of a deep and resonant connection that they build, right? And that's part of where, you know, we find the beauty in this practice and the way that we practice. Very inquisitive nature. It's not just like, okay, stick your arm out here. It's where is my energy when I'm sticking my arm out here? What muscles are supporting me? How does it feel when I hold my arm out? Does it feel better if I hold it back or hold it forward a little bit more? What's the experience like in this arm if I turn my palm, feel the shoulder moving? You get what I'm getting at, yeah? So that, I think it was really nice to see that connection and that thread weaving through where we see in so many different areas of our lives, our existence as individuals and as people, that when we are really invested and nitty-gritty and kind of nerdy about things, that we can really do a lot more with it rather than just show up. Like show up's the first step, but can I like really be there when I show up? Really be in this practice, the practice of being human, because thankfully that's a practice just like yoga too. So we're going to take the index finger and the thumb together. We'll start with face brushing. So not just moving, of course, your hands on your face, but like taking in those sensations, really tuned into it. So starting at the center of your forehead, brush outwards towards your temples a few times. And then going from the sides of your nose down out to your temples along your cheekbones. What does it feel like? How does it feel in your face? And then going down to the chin, tracing your jawline. And going down to the chin from the sides of your nose so that you're tracing your laugh lines. And then massaging underneath and behind your ears so you're feeling for that soft spot and lifting up from there. Getting a little bit longer in the spine. Keeping that lift as you rest your hands down into your lap. As you begin to build that slow and steady rhythm of breath that will take us through practice, really explore how that breath feels in your body, where you feel the breath in your body. Maybe you can think of how this breath is feeling compared to other moments where you've paused and noticed and absorbed yourself in that breath. Next time you inhale, take it in nice and full through your nose. Big exhale through your mouth. Again, like that. For 3 ohms. As you open your eyes, we're going to come down onto our backs. Want to have your strap nearby when you get down there, but we'll start off without using it just yet. So come on down. Make sure you've got space to stretch out. You'll want to be able to reach your arms out back behind you. As you come down, sometimes starting knees bent can give a little bit more room to let the back soften into the earth in case anything's feeling a little stiff or you're maybe not used to being in this position in this way. So much more of our lives vertical, and all of a sudden horizontal becomes a little bit challenging to adjust to. Now once you get down there, as you're ready, start extending your legs out. You're going to reach your arms out even further now too, finding a nice X shape in your body. So you're just reaching out. A little bit of separation between the arms and legs, and the more you reach, the more you extend, you feel more space opening up. Maybe you get a little bit of extra room to wiggle those arms and legs out a little bit further from your torso. Take a really full breath in and deflate that extension as you exhale, so soften. I'll try that 2 more times. Inhale, fill up. Exhale, let it go. Once more. Just to be sure you really got into that experience. And I take the right leg, bring it over to the left leg. So maybe you get the ankle on top of the ankle and now both legs are over towards the left. And then take your right arm over towards your left arm and you want to hold on to the right hand with your left hand. I hold on to my wrist. You're going to give a little pull of the arm up and over. You can bend the elbow if your shoulders are feeling tender. Give yourself that space. Then you might feel your belly button creeping over towards the right a little bit more, and then that might start to drop the right hip down in case it lifted up. But it's fine if it did lift up, but let's see if we can move it more down in the direction of the floor again. Take 2 long, slow breaths, feeling yourself fill up on the inhale, get stretchier. Exhale, releasing that right hip down. Inhale. And exhale. And then go ahead and unwind your arms. So release them back to that X shape. Release the leg back to that X shape. I don't know if you feel it, but I feel significantly more spacious on the right side. So we'll work into that on the left. Taking your left ankle over towards the right, and then holding on to your left wrist or hand, whatever makes sense to you, with your right hand. And then rolling your belly button over towards the left just a little bit more so that hip drops just a little bit more. Try to relax your inner shoulder on the left arm, and if that's hard, bend your elbow. So you're giving that shoulder a little bit more room. One more breath out. And then you're gonna unwind yourself back to that X shape, just feeling maybe a little bit more open, maybe a little bit more relaxed in certain spaces. And then you're gonna start sliding your feet in. We're gonna grab the strap. You take the strap up above your head, wrap the strap around your knuckles a few times. So you've got a little bit of wrap up, a little bit of friction there of the strap holding onto you. You're gonna leave the hands about shoulder width apart. Rotate your hands so the palms face towards each other. And then you're gonna reach that strap back towards the wall behind you. And back up. Try to keep your belly engaged here. So you're wrapping that belly in towards your spine. Reach the arms to the wall behind you. And then back up. And I'm not taking it to the floor. We're just taking 3 more rounds, reaching it up. And taking it back. Elbows face to the sky. And just one more. So a little bit of core work there. It's kind of sneaky, but it definitely gets into those upper abs. And you can let the strap go off of your hands. We're going to take the strap around the bottom of the right foot. And you're going to extend the leg, but not all the way. Like, you can go perfectly straight leg if you really want to, but I would actually recommend to keep a little bit of a bend in it, right? So I'm not fully straight. I'm not worrying about it too much, but I've got the leg mostly extended. What I'm going to do here is, instead of drawing the leg in, which I might do later, first I want to get both hips down, which means that my leg moved a little bit further away. And if I can keep both hips down, I might start pulling this leg closer to me, but I got to be honest, getting the hip down is plenty, and I feel a lot of stretch around my hip. Relaxing the fronts of your shoulders. Take one more breath out. And then bend your knee a little bit more. See if you can bring it in a little bit more and let your hip come up. Just gonna see how that feels. And then loosen it and pull it in and loosen it and pull it in. And then you're gonna keep that leg nice and easy. Wrap both hands around with both ends of your, wrap the right hand up with both ends of the strap. And then you're gonna bend your knee, pulling it out towards your armpit. Now your left foot, push that down into the floor. Just notice what happens. I feel some of this underbutt engaging. I feel my core engaging. Maybe your breath stopped. See if you can bring it back. And then release that leg up. Now I'm going to take both ends of the strap into my left hand. I'm going to let the leg be at least above the hip. I don't want it to be too close here. Slide your left leg out. Doesn't have to be all the way, but you want to extend it out further so you've got some room here to lead with the heel and take the strap across the body. So I'm just taking the foot just barely over my body. It's not going super far. And that's starting to open up this IT band perhaps. And if it's not doing that, make sure your hip is on the floor. Make sure you're leading with the heel, so heel goes over first. And if you're still not feeling it, try bringing the foot a little bit further away from you. That just seems to make a really big difference a lot of times. 2 more breaths. And then you're going to bend into the leg. Try to keep holding onto the strap. I'm going to put the foot on my thigh, and then I'm going to roll over here. So I want to go into a place where it doesn't feel too intense in my back. Hopefully I can keep the right shoulder on the ground. And I'll show you what we do here. So I'm over into this twist. I'm going to take my leg, I'm going to extend it again. And I'm pulling the strap up towards me, not to not to get it huge, like I'm trying to pull the leg in towards my chest, but I'm pulling the strap up just so that the leg kind of hangs out here, kind of like a hospital traction and contraction. Just one more exhale. And then bend into your leg. Go ahead and come back to the center. And then you're going to take the feet in, take your strap off of your foot, probably a little bit of untying going on there. And then you're just going to take the right leg, just drop your knee out to the right. I roll over a little bit here, just releasing this inner thigh space and this hip crease space. After all of that compression it's just gotten. Then give yourself a nice exhale to maybe soften into a little bit more, relax into that space. Then the knee will come up. And you're back where you started off. We're going to take the strap, loop it around the bottom of the left foot, looping the strap around the knuckles. So you have a little bit of like boxer tape kind of thing going on. I've got a little bend in my leg, right? So it's not totally straight, but it's not totally bent. It's that weird place in between. And I want to feel my hip reaching down. It's the hip dropping. That's the major element of the energy in the pose and the work that's happening here. And maybe you start bringing the leg a little bit closer towards you too. One more exhale. And you're going to put a pretty significant bend in the knee. Just see if you can bring it a little bit closer and further apart. Or too hard at it. We're mostly just trying to warm up that space at this point, not making a big stretch, more of like some lubrication of the joints, if you will. And then you're going to take both ends of the strap into your left hand. You're going to pull your knee down towards your armpit. Push this right foot down. If you can manage to align all of those things in. One more breath. And then relax that. We're going to take the strap into your right hand, so opposite arm and leg. I'm going to get the space where my leg is just above my hip, not any closer to my body. And then take the right leg away, see how that goes. Start with the left heel going over towards the right, and you want to keep that left hip down onto the floor. Really extending out through that heel, getting the outer thigh line. One more exhale. And then you're going to bend into the knee, but keep the strap on your foot. I'm going to let the foot rest on my leg. I'm going to roll over and just find a point where I'm twisting where I can breathe. I can let my belly soften. Ideally, the left shoulder is fairly far open. And then I'm going to start extending this leg up. And maybe your leg's down here, and that's great. That's all that we're going for, is to extend the leg, not get it up by the nose. But I'm pulling this up just slightly. Just for the sake of, finding this tension that's going to hold everything in place, not trying to like rip my leg off or anything wild. See if you can relax your left collarbone on your next exhale. And then relax your leg and back to the center. We're going to take the strap off of the foot, move it out to the side, knees are bent, feet on the floor, and then you're going to drop your left knee over towards the floor, so you're opening the inside of that thigh. Kind of just hang out for a moment, let yourself relax, let gravity do the work. One more exhale. And then coming back up, we're going to roll over onto our side. So just whatever side is going to face me or seem easiest to you, just roll over I'm gonna lay down on this arm, just letting the body extend out. And then you're gonna take your top leg, we're gonna pull it up and hold on right behind the knee. And then you're probably like me and you rolled back a little bit. Oh, can you come forward? Why is this so hard? It's very hard. Now your hip is probably crunching up, that top hip, right? You can feel like there's a lot of crunchiness on the top side, that side of your waist. Instead of letting it just be crunchy, can you reach, okay, the hip down. There we go. I like to think of the thigh bone going down the bottom of the hip socket. More exhale. And then you're gonna relax that leg. We're gonna roll it over. I am gonna stay facing away from you so you can really see that hip dropping down. Just roll it over, lay out on your side, make yourself nice and long. So you wanna try not to be in a pike position, but rather be long in your body. And then you're gonna take this top leg up and you're gonna hold on right behind your knee. You probably feel like that hip is trying to hike up into the armpit, right? So let's drop it down away from the armpit. So your thigh bone moving down towards the bottom of your hip socket. You might feel like you're gonna fall over, but it's okay because you're on the ground. One more exhale. And then start to release that leg. We're gonna roll all the way over onto the belly now. So start all the way over until you're resting, head on your hands. Just letting your forehead soften down. Feeling the breath moving in a slightly different manner. One more exhale. And then start to pick your head up. You're gonna wiggle your legs back a little bit more. And then send your arms back behind you. You can make like airplane arms or take your hands back and interlace your fingers. We're gonna come up into Shalabhasana or locust pose. We'll do it twice. Go ahead and lift yourself up here, sending your heart up and forward, and then feel your inner thighs roll to the sky. That should help to widen your lower back slightly. Then, if you like, you can reach the legs up, but keep rolling those inner thighs up towards the sky. Let out an exhale, and then on your inhale, see if there's just a little bit more room to open the chest. And then come on down, just give a little rest, maybe a little wiggle. And try it while your body's down, so you're rolling the inner thighs to the sky, right? So sometimes like the heels fall in, the inner thighs roll in. When you roll the legs, the knees face down, the inner thighs are up towards the sky. And then we'll take the chest, sending it forward, opening your collarbones. Maybe the legs lift, let out an exhale. Maybe there's more room on the inhale to open that chest a little bit more. And then softening, releasing your hands. We're gonna come right up into a forward fold. So press yourself up off the ground. Bring yourself up onto your feet. Bring your feet wider than your hips, so a little bit wider than we usually do. You can have hands at your shins, or you can have fingertips down, maybe knees bent, just depending on what you need. Just make sure that the weight is in your feet and not in your hands. That one more exhale to relax your neck. Then you're gonna put it down into your knees, bring your hands to your legs, roll up. You can support yourself with your hands as you go. And we'll come up standing. When we get up here, we're going to do a little bit of that work at the wall that I promised. So find yourself with some space where you've got some wall or refrigerator or whatever's about shoulder height and then about hip height. So you're going to need about like this much of the space. Yeah. I'm going to start off with the hand back behind me a little bit higher than my shoulder. really just a little bit higher. I'm standing about a foot away from the wall. I'm trying to bring both my shoulders forward. If that becomes difficult, I put a little bend into the elbow. And I want to just put about 10% force into my hand. Let the belly maybe roll towards the away from the wall a little bit more. Big breath in. Big breath out. Then you're going to take your other hand, you're going to loop it underneath, start turning yourself around. And then we've got our arms that are either in this V shape or I've wrapped up my eagle feathers. And you can hang out here just with your arms, or you're going to take the opposite leg on top. So my left arm is on top. I'm going to take my right leg on top and then squeeze back towards eagle. One more exhale. Unwind your arms, and if you have your legs wound, unwind those too. We'll go through the other side. So I'm standing about a foot away from the wall. And on my other hand, it's going to go just barely above my shoulder. Just barely, a little bend in the elbow if that's going to help out with your shoulder. Just giving yourself the space and the adjustments you need. You're going to let your belly button roll ever so slightly towards the center of the room, away from the wall, and you have about 10% energy of your hand going into the wall. So it's like it would make a handprint if it were sand, but it wouldn't make a handprint if it were like, you know, your wall. Unless you have paint on your fingers. Yeah, you get like just kind of like paint on your fingers onto the wall. Barely a sand handprint. Checking in with your breath. One more exhale. And then taking your outer arm, you're going to loop it underneath. So you should be on the other side of your V wings or your wrapped up wings or any other wing variation that you like. And then you can stay here, just reaching those elbows forward, focusing on your shoulder stretcher. If you wanted to add in a little bit more hip stuff, it's the opposite leg that comes on top. And then your hips reach back, both of the hips. I've got the toes down for balance. Maybe you're feeling really spicy and you don't, but that's always an option. I'm really doing this for hips more so than balance, shoulders more so than anything. One more exhale. And then go ahead and come up, unwind your arms. And we're going to come into down dog at the wall. So you're going to line up, I'll do it this way. You're going to line up your hands about hip width away from, or hip height away from the wall. Bring them about shoulder width apart, so that doorway's distance. And then you're going to walk yourself back until your hips are about above your feet. You can bend your knees. And then you're going to wrap your elbows towards the floor and press into your hands so your hips start to move back away from the wall. You're going to roll your inner thighs back. Reach the ears out of your shoulders. Spread out all the way through your fingertips. One more exhale. And then look up, walk yourself up. We're going to stay over here. We're going to do just one quick thing before we go back into downward dog. I want to find a little bit more length around this lower sides of the back area. So we're going to take a side bend. You're going to take, so your left leg behind your right, so we'll mirror. And then I'm going to take and hold on to the left arm, whatever the back leg is. I'm going to come into the side bend. My feet are pretty close. I can bend the knees. But I'm going to try to push down more into that back foot and then roll my belly button over towards the left slightly, because sometimes we get kind of here. I don't want to roll that over. Yeah. One more exhale. Coming up, relax your arms. We're going to switch the cross of the legs. And then if my right leg is behind, it's going to be my right arm that I lift up and pull over, pushing more into that back foot. More exhale. Coming up, releasing the arms, go ahead and uncross your legs. And since we're still right here, we're gonna go back into downward dog at the wall. So finding that extension of the arms, so you're pressing the hips back. You really wanna feel really long all the way through here. Setting your hands up, about hip width apart, yeah. And then wiggling your feet back. You can bend into your knees. Keep your elbows rolled towards the floor. Head is long on the spine, reaching the backs of the ears away. Roll the inner thighs back. Feel your hips continuously pulling back into the center of the room. Like you've got a buddy behind you and they're grabbing your pelvis and they're just ever so gently lengthening your spine by pulling it back. Give yourself one more exhale. And then look up, lift up, walk it in. Okay. Stuff we're gonna do. We're gonna do a little bit of balancing at the wall. If you really wanted to, and I'll say it's actually a little bit more intense, if you wanted to grab your strap so that you could loop the strap around the bottom of your foot and hold on like this, that's an option. I think it's much easier to do this. So I'll demo this, but know that you've got that. We've done that sometimes, and that could be another option. So I've got the wall right here. But I'm not gonna fall into the wall. I'm gonna stand up nice and tall away from the wall and drop my hip down. Then I want to send the knee open, still dropping my hip down, still lifting up nice and tall. Maybe you take a hand away from the wall, maybe it's just one fingertip. And then I'm going to take the knee back in. And I'm going to look over towards the leg that's away from the wall. Maybe I take this arm forward, maybe I open this arm back. With the strap, you'd have to switch feet. I was unclear about that. And then come back to the center and drop down with the strap. My bad. If I were holding the strap, I would probably be holding it with the same hand. So I would switch to holding that way. So if you were to be going through that, that is what that is. We're gonna do the other side. I'm gonna hold on to a different wall, that way I can still face you. And that's something here just in case. Maybe it's just one fingertip that you use. I'm gonna take the leg up and I'm not gonna take it here. I'm going to take it up here, right? So I'm really lengthening, and instead of letting my hip come up to my armpit, I'm still lengthening that side body. I'm going fairly fast because I know we don't want to hold it that long. We're going to take the leg open, dropping the thigh bone down in the hip socket, and bringing it forward. I'm going to look over towards the side of that lifted leg. If that's going well, when I take the hand off the wall, might open the arm up and just get there for a little bit, and then set things down and wiggle and bounce around. Okay, so from here, we're gonna go back to the mat. So if you happen to be rather far from your mat, or you took your mat with you, whatever, if you wanna go back to whatever sort of space arrangement seemed most practical, or you've got a new one, we'll go with that. And then we'll take warrior one. So right leg forward, left leg back, bending into your right leg. Make sure the knee and the toe trap over the same line, and then reach your arms up. We're gonna bend into the left elbow, hold on to that elbow, and you get a little bit of a reach up in that elbow. This is my new favorite thing. So we're opening up the front of the left hip, drawing that right hip back to lengthen that outer thigh, and reaching that left arm all the way up in the sky, well, just the elbow all the way up in the sky, to open that tricep. One more exhale. And then release it, release your arms. We're gonna step forward, see if you can do it in one step. Could have been many steps, it's all good. And then you're gonna take the other leg back, warrior one, their little variation. So squaring my hips forward, left leg is bent, reaching the arms up, feeling my heart lift up. And then bend into the right elbow, go ahead and catch the elbow with your hand. And you're reaching that elbow up, push down into your back foot too. Make sure you're not missing out on that because it really helps to open right in here. Right, so I can relax or I can push down into that foot. Right elbow is going up, up and away. One more exhale. And release it, release your arms. See if you can take one step up to the front of your mat space. Wiggle things around. And then we're gonna go out wide legs. Pretty wide. and come down into a forward fold. So just whatever you like with your arms. It could be fingertips here, here, behind your back, whatever you like. Give yourself room to soften, to fold your belly down towards your thighs. Even if you're not letting the head hang down, if you keep your spine all in line, make sure you're not getting crunchy in the back of the neck. You want to keep the back of your neck long. One more exhale. And then a little bend into the knees, draw your belly and bring your hands to your hips to come up. And we're going to shift into warrior two. So turning your right toes all the way over, your left toes slightly over, we're going to bend into the right leg and then open your arms up. Now I would like to encourage you to do some intentional fidgeting. What is intentional fidgeting? It's not just moving because I'm bored. It is changing things like, this hip feels a little, tight. So does it feel better if I do this or if I do this? Go kind of slow, pause, maybe like notice my shoulders are weird, whatever it is. You may feel like, okay, maybe this is a good warrior two. And you say, all right, this is my good warrior two today, and I know it'll change eventually. One more exhale. And then straighten your leg. You're gonna relax your left arm down. Take the right arm up, peaceful triangle. Getting all of this length. One more inhale. And then back to warrior two. Release your arms, bend back into that leg. See if it might feel different, or you think you got into the right place, or you're just not sure. It's just warrior two. Who cares? Be where you're at with it. And then reach forward, elbow down, and left arm up and over. And I'm pushing down in that left foot and finding all of that space on the side of the hip. Shoulder blade off the spine. Soften your inner armpit. One more exhale. And then drawing your belly in, we're going to lift it all the way up. And start making a transition over to the other side. So if I want to find warrior two in the other direction. And with the knowledge that the body is not perfectly symmetrical, and I'm probably not exactly perfectly lined up, exactly the same as I was on the other side, but still kind of taking that shoulders, a little shake out helps it to feel better. How's that knee over the toe situation doing? Does pushing into the front foot help with that? The Drishti, the gaze is strong over the front fingertips. One more exhale. And then straighten the leg. We'll relax the right arm down, lift the left arm up, and feel the heart pulling upwards towards that hand. One more breath in. And then bending back into your left leg, returning to warrior two. See how it's similar or different, or if that fidgeting helped you find some good alignment you might want to work with for a while. And then coming forward, elbow down, and right arm up and over with pressure down into the right foot so I can really lengthen that top side. Relaxing some of the pressure that might be on the inside of your armpit there though. Relaxing some of the pressure in the back of your neck by lengthening your ears out of your shoulders. Exhaling. And then lifting up. Bringing the legs in. We're going to bring the feet into touch. We're going to take a really big heart lifting, extended mountain pose. A little bit of back bend, you might come into it, but it's not bending back, it's sending the heart forward. So I've got my inner thighs together. I'm squeezing my inner thighs up so my weight's forward on my toes. Take the hands, interlace the fingers, maybe making Vira Mudra, or your arms can be separate. And we're going to take them all the way up. Keep lifting those inner thighs up and forward. Keep lifting your belly and your heart, maybe your gaze. Reaching the arms up a little bit further in the sky if you've got space. One more inhale. And exhale, resting your hands back into your heart. We're going to come on down to take a seat. So start making your transition back down onto the bum. And then from here, let your left leg be in front. Take your right leg in. lift your left toes. I'm gonna start walking the body out over that left leg. You are lengthening over your hamstring and feeling that length and relaxed space in your lower back. Bending the knee if you need to. One more breath out. And then coming up. We're going to take this knee and we're going to turn it upwards. You can leave it here or you can cross over that leg. You make it a little bit more stretch on the outside of the thigh. I'm going to hug with the opposite arm. Right arm in close. Still left toes lifted. Lift up high, inhale. Exhale, soften the belly into your twist. One more breath out. Relax your twist. Quick little breath. Just one breath, twist over towards the left and unwind yourself. Now with your top leg here, you've got a couple of options. One is you can put it back where it was before. One is you have the ankle hooked over the knee and then you're gonna hold onto your knee and your foot to protect it. Or maybe you like the knee on top of me and then I'm on the pinky toe edge of my foot here. And it's a nice and close. This is gonna be pretty intense in your hamstrings, so knowing that. You can also fold the bottom foot in if you really like cow face pose, but may not be feeling that today or feeling it ever for various reasons. So it's here, or it's more open. And then we're gonna come forward, leading with the heart. And come forward, not worrying about getting however far forward we get. Focusing on the experience, the fiddling around, the playing with it, the being here and getting to know it rather than just being able to recite, yes, that pose, you put the body parts in that position. That's not why we do this. There's no quiz. Get to the end of your yoga practice and draw a bunch of stick figures after the pose names and then you like get a gold star. I mean, we can get gold stars for that, but gold stars are just gold stars. One more exhale. And then coming up, we're going to release that. And then we're going to start with the foot on the inside of the leg on the other side. So, drawing it in, and then sending your body forward to whatever degree you can reasonably do so. With a relaxed back. Softening inwards. One more breath out. And walking it back in, taking your knee up, leaving it here, or taking it across the leg. I'm gonna hug down with the opposite arm, lift up tall, hand in nice and close to my hip on the left side. And then lift up as you inhale and exhale, soften the belly into your twist. Opening your heart and your collarbones as you rotate, keeping those right toes lifted. One more breath. Releasing and turning just a breath over towards the right side, little counter twist. And as you come out of it, you're either moving this foot up on the outside of your hip. I'm on the pinky toe edge of my foot, knees are stacked, or I've got an ankle on the knee and I'm holding on to things just to be careful with my joints here. And then sending your heart forward. One more breath out. Come on up. We're gonna unwind the leg. Go ahead and lean back. Come onto your fingertips. Actually, let's roll the elbows back and lift the chest up. One more exhale. And then soften. And we're going to move into swan pose. We'll do swan and deer to round us out. So I've got the shin forward. It's mostly parallel with the front of my space. And then my left leg is going to slide back. It's just going to be back there. Notice I'm sitting all the way over on this hip. I'm not up. I'm not hanging out in between the joints. And I'm going to come forward as much towards the shin as I can manage. We're going to be here for about another minute. So it's kind of a long hold. If you find that that hold is giving you more room and you could soften down a little bit more into this, go for it. If you find that that hold is giving you too much room, all of a sudden you need to back off, and of course following that need, listening to what your body wants from you. One more breath. And starting to come up. You're going to take this back leg and you're going to sneak it up a bit. I'll show from the front. I've got this like pinwheel shape going on. This foot is not in close to my hip. My shin's going to create this like box shape. And I'm going to start leaning back. And I want to go over to my right side first. So I'm going to leave the left knee down. It might come down onto the elbow. The hip is lifted probably, the knee is down. Another option is to lay down and you'll just like take the foot and tuck it in like so. Or you can use the strap to do that. I would generally prefer to say like you just don't go as far into this. You stop here and you feel a good stretch. You can also do both elbows. And could doesn't mean should. Could just be, you know, one of many options. But 2 more breaths. And if you did have both elbows down, you're going to take the left arm over and just kind of doggy paddle your way up to a seat. And we'll make a transition in the legs over towards the other side. So I'm going to take that left shin forward. I'm going to slide that right leg back. It's just going as far back as feels reasonable. I'm not worrying about exactly where it gets. It's fairly arbitrary that it's just back there somewhere. And then the shin that is in front of me, I am going to go towards it and breathe into the sensations that come up. Reading them, exploring them. Being here, being present with them. Noticing as the sensations change, if I have the space or desire to go further in or back out a bit. Reading these moments with an adaptation to what I'm learning rather than trying to dictate what exactly it should be. 5 more breaths where we're at. And then starting to lift yourself up, gently coming up off your leg, and then this back leg is gonna slide in. So I've got this kind of square-ish shape. And then I'm gonna go back and over towards the left elbow first. Maybe it doesn't get to the elbow. Maybe I stop at the hand. Maybe it is both elbows. Lifting my chest up slightly. Let the hip come up. Try not to let that knee come up. You want to leave the knee down. And make whatever other adjustments allow you to leave the knee down. About 2 more breaths. Crossing this hand over. Go ahead and walk yourself up. We're going to start coming down onto our backs. Lowering yourself down, giving yourself room to settle the body down into the floor. Taking your arms open into a T. And then wiggle your pelvis gently side to side to massage it into the floor, relaxing the low back, the sacrum. When you start to feel pretty good about that, roll the knees over towards the right. Bring your knees up and then soften your belly, looking upwards or over towards the left. Let your body relax a little bit more with every exhale. One more breath out. And then coming over towards the other side with your knees, finding a similar feeling shape, taking a little purposeful fidgeting if you need to in order to get into whatever that is for you. And then looking upwards or over towards the right, softening with every exhale, letting that belly get squishier. Let your body be heavy. One more breath out. And then coming back to the center, maybe letting your knees knock against each other for a moment. And if there's anything else that you need to round off your practice, or maybe you stay here, take any of those options, any options at all. We'll move into our final rest, maybe extending legs out and wiggling the shoulder blades underneath the heart. Going over into manning a belly rub. Settle into this beautiful rest. start to come back into your breath. Taking that moment to tune into every sensation that you can tap into. Where do you feel things? What is it like in this moment? How does the air feel? What's the light like? Eventually rolling yourself over, turning inwards for a moment of gratitude for your practice, for having the opportunity to share practice together. And when you're ready, finding your own version of a comfortable seat. Hands at your heart, heart uplifted. Seal practice, releasing and Om together. Big inhale. Coming down to the love and light that resides within each of our hearts. Namaste. Have a wonderful day, everybody. We'll see you all again next week. I'll be sure that we get info out about moving the classes back in the church and iron out some dates with that. It might be a little bit funky because I've got a little bit of traveling going on between August and September, but I will send that info out. Bye, everybody.